Once upon a time in a very large village, there lived a young girl named Eugenia. She was very polite and kind, raised by her grandmother, whom she called, and they lived together in a small hut on the edge of the village. Han and N were very poor. They had no farmland of their own, so they relied on the little they could grow in their small garden. They also had few trades that N could make. Their poverty was not just because they had. The villagers also avoided them. No one wanted to be their friend, and people did not want to trade with them. Those who traded with them did it in secret. This was because Eugenia was born out of wedlock, which means her parents were not married when she was born. Eugenia's mother was a beautiful and naive girl who fell in love at a very young age. She met a man who promised her the world. He spoke sweet words and made grand promises, making her believe in a bright future together. But this man was deceitful. He hid the fact that he was already married with children. When he found out she was pregnant, she approached him hoping to discuss their future. Instead, she was met with cold rejection. "I cannot be with you," the man said, his voice without the warmth it once held. "I have a family." Nika's heart shattered. "But you never told me you had a wife," she cried, her eyes filled with tears. The man shrugged, uncaring of her pain. "It doesn't matter now. I cannot be seen with you. You must understand." With that, he left, leaving Inoli to bear the brunt of the village's judgment alone. The villagers were unforgiving. Inoli was branded a home record, a stigma that extended to her family. Her mother N bore the whispers and pointed fingers with a strong face, but inside she was deeply hurt. Inoli, still a teenager herself, was unable to handle the constant ridicule and scorn. Women at the stream would whisper and snicker as she approached. "Here comes the husband snatcher. Hide your men," they would say. Ashamed and humiliated, would often leave without fetching water to protect her daughter from this cruelty, and sent her to live with relatives in a far-away village. This was a hard decision, but he gave her a chance for a new start, left, leaving behind her baby daughter, which grew up with the love and care of. She was taught to be respectful and kind, even though the villagers were mean to her. The shame that was once honor was now honor. Children her age played together, but they did not include her. When she tried to join them, they reminded her of her mother's disgrace. "You are just like your mother," they would say. "Our mothers told us not to play with you." These words hurt Uma deeply. She would often come home in tears, feeling very lonely, and would comfort her, holding her close. "Do not listen to them, my child," and would say, "You are a good girl. You have done nothing wrong. The village will see your goodness one day." Despite these kind words, Uma felt like an outsider. She watched from a distance as the other children played, wishing she could join them, but she was too afraid of being rejected again. Uduma grew up to be a very beautiful young lady, just like her mother, but she didn't see it. She felt insecure about her whole being and felt everyone hated her, making her doubt herself. She prayed to be alone, avoiding people as much as possible. She would go to fetch firewood or water by herself, not wanting to face anyone's mocking remarks. When it was time to fetch water, Yuna had a routine. She would hide in the bushes near the river, watching and waiting for everyone to leave. She was too afraid to fetch water while others were around. Only when she was setting the river bank was empty would she quickly go and fill her pot. Sometimes she had to wait so long that it became dark. By the time she finished, she would then walk home in the dark, tired and scared, but relieved that she didn't have to face anyone. One evening, Yuna hid in the bushes longer than usual because villagers kept coming to the river. She grew more anxious as the sky turned dark. When she finally hurried to the river, it was pitch black. She felt her pity. Quickly, her heart pounding with fear at every sound in the night. As she walked back home late at night, her footsteps echoed in the quiet village. She saw Anne standing outside there, her face full of worry. "Where have you been?" Anne asked her, voice shaking with concern. "It's dangerous to fetch water this late." Yunnan looked down, unable to meet her grandmother's eyes. "I'm sorry," Anne, she whispered. "I'll be more careful." Anne sighed and hugged her tightly. "I worry about you, my child. Please don't fetch water so late again." One nodded, but deep down she knew she would still fetch water late. She couldn't bring herself to tell Anne the truth that she was too scared to fetch water during the day because she feared being bullied. She didn't want to add to her grandmother's worries. Every day the same pattern continued. Yuna hid in the bushes hoping the villagers would leave soon. She felt like a shadow, always hiding, always afraid. Her heart ached with loneliness, but she felt she had no other choice. Aya was now 16 years old and she continued her routine. One day she hurried to the river to fill her pot. She thought she was alone, but a group of girls her age were hiding and watching her. They had seen her rush to the river and decided to play cruel trick. They put down their water pots and head rings on the grass next to the river and began approaching Uma. One girl stepped forward and sneered, "Do you know that your father is married to my aunt?" She moved closer to Juma, who was now standing with her pot in her hands. "Your mother tried to ruin my aunt's family," she continued. The other girls joined in closing in. Onuma, fear gripped her as she slowly backed away, not realizing she was stepping deeper into the water. The girls kept moving towards her and overwhelmed with fear, didn't notice the water rising around her. They laughed as she struggled to keep her balance. Suddenly, Yuna lost her footing and fell into the deeper part of the river. She panicked, splashing and trying to stay afloat. The girls, realizing the danger, abandoned their water pots and ran away, swearing to each other to never speak of what happened. Uma felt a strong grip on her leg, pulling her under the water. She couldn't scream as she was dragged down. She struggled, but soon everything went dark. When June 1 woke up, she found herself in a strange underwater cave. Her hands were tied and the cave was filled with a soft blue light. It was as if she was in another world. She sat there, shocked and scared, trying to understand what was happening. An old woman with one leg approached her, smiling strangely. "Oh, how I have waited for this moment for a whole decade," the woman said, her voice echoing in the cave. "Under this full moon, I will finally make the entire village pay for their sins." She threw a sack made of old cloths, muttering to herself, "Children will pay for the sins of their parents." Yuna cried out, "Please let me go. I am innocent," but the old woman ignored her plea. She took out a sharp SCK and pricked Yue's hand to get some of her blood. Then she left, leaving Uma alone in the eerie cave. After a while, the old woman returned. "Who are you? You are not of this village. Your blood is useless to me," she said, frowning. "My name is Uma. Please don't harm me. I can help you with